Welcome back, it's Cosmic. We're getting towards the space bit. Let's see how we got on today. Next chapter is I Want My Daddy. When we left the crew quarters the next day, the dads were all waiting by the transporter ready to say the last goodbyes. Monsieur Martinet, Samson 1 and Eddie Xanadu with 2 security guards on either side of him. They chatted to their boys, rubbed their hair and punched them on the shoulder. Samson 1 shouted to me to look after me boy now. I had one crazy, hopeful thought that my dad just might show up with the others. But he didn't. At least I had Alan to talk to. Dr. Grax gave us each a lighter-than-air ice lolly shaped like a dandelion. A last-minute treat, she smiled. When Infinity Park opens, we're going to sell these all over the world. Aren't they just delicious? Oh, by the way, I'll just have to ask you to hand in your new Drax phones just to protect the secrecy of the mission. The first thing I did when I got onto the flight deck was shuffle Dad St. Christopher out of my pip and wedge it into the instrument panel. The whole rocket was throbbing, so St. Christopher looked like he was doing some kind of mad dance. The other thing that I found in there was a little credit card stress tester. I picked it up and it changed from blue to pink and a message just appeared. Just one word, stressed. The infinite possibility was 200 feet high. At the top of it you could feel the swaying in the wind. And you could hear the wind roll in and out of the pipes and the engines sobbing and the sighing in general is sounding miserable. As the responsible adult, I had to do the last minute checks. All the way through, Samson 2 kept spouting space facts. I suppose it was his way of coping. Do you know, he said, that the exposure to weightlessness makes you grow because there's less pressure on your spinal column. It relaxes and makes you taller. Just what I need, I thought. A few more inches. We could have one of them see how you grow charts just to see if it's true, a kind of experiment. I made them all line up so they could put their eyes on the back of the safety door, just to take their minds off things. Max suddenly said, I'm not frightened. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. Also, only the strong survive, and I am strong. Yes, but I am strong, said Hassan. Does that mean I won't survive? Where's my daddy? I want my daddy. Florida said, your dad's probably in jail by now, which didn't help. The stress tester had changed from pink to scarlet. The message read, see doctor immediately. I said, we're all worried about takeoff. Let's stop thinking about it. Let's think about inflating our escape suits. In fact, let's do it. I hadn't just been the electric Ribena. I was right. It was distractingly funny. The kids all sat in their places and I made sure they were strapped in. Made sure the suits were on properly. Made sure they all remembered where the inflation buttons were. Then I got to my own place and shouted, 3, 2, 1. The suits began to hiss and grow and we all swelled up like giggling tangerines again. The suits expanded into every corner of the module with just our heads sticking out. Then the countdown started. 20, 19, 18. I need a wee, said Hassan. Then do one, you've got your special suit on, don't forget. Alan Shepard wet himself just before Freedom 7 took off, said Florida. No one else heard her because there was this sound like mountains snoring. Everything shook like the worst earthquake you'd ever seen. Our stomachs dropped to the floor, the rest of our cells dropped to the floor, and suddenly it felt like there was really a giant invisible dad, but he was furious, and he was crushing us between the palms of his hands, and we could do nothing because our arms wouldn't move. We couldn't shout because our faces wouldn't work. And I remember thinking, if this is what it takes to get us up here, what's he going to do to get us down again? Next chapter, the moon, you idiot. Imagine you've been scrunched up in a piece of paper in one hand and you open your hand and the paper opens like a flower. That's what takeoff sounds like. But as soon as we began to level off, Florida said, are we there yet? Then Max said, are we there yet? And soon they were all saying, are we there yet? Are we there yet? I tried to shush them in case there was an important message from Drax Control. Then there was a ding-dong in my headset and a nice reassuring voice in my ear said, hello, Mr. Digby, my name is Lee. I'm your flight controller for today. Nice to meet you, Lee. You too. Any questions, just ask me. Right now you can relax. If you'd like, you can deflate your takeoff outfits and enjoy the weightlessness conditions. I said, crew, you can deflate your escape suits. They all yelled, yay. And I felt not just dadly, but actually captainish. We started to float around the cabin, propelled by the air from deflating the suits. In zero gravity, we really were like a family of novelty balloons. Last time we were weightless, it only lasted a couple of minutes. So this time we bobbed about enjoying it, waiting for it to stop. But it didn't stop. Max asked me what he was when it was time to start our first task. I said soon. I was too happy being a balloon to be bothering about anything else. A few minutes later, the reassuring voice spoke in my ear again. "Mr. Digby," it said, "we have a glitch. The release from the protective shield hasn't worked. There's an override button in the multifunctional display. It's a black button in the top right-hand corner. Can you see it?" I could. "If you could press it when I tell you." This was completely cosmic. Something had gone wrong and I was going to put it right. I didn't mention to the others. I didn't want to panic him. The voice said, "Now." And I pressed the button. There was a sound like a door shutting somewhere far away. The capsule rocked a bit. Then everything went bright. Our protective panels had blown away. Now we had windows. We could see the rejected panels tumbling away from us into space. "Good job, Mr. Digby." Lee's voice crackled in my ear. "Every mission has one glitch. You've just had yours. Now take it easy and enjoy the view." The view, by the way, was Earth. Not all of it, not to start with, less than a quarter of it really. But we were still close to that quarter filled by the window because we were really high up. I thought we'd be looking down, but really it felt like more than we were looking up. And all I could see was blue. It was completely the bluest blue ever, except for bands of clouds and veins of green on the surface of the sea. We were looking at the Southern Pacific. Max was thrilled and directed by the safety panels. "Look at them go," he said, "they're like torpedoes." I said, "Yeah, I did that." "What?" When Drax Control tried, it didn't work. I had to press a special button, so I did it. "Did you really?" said Florida, adding, "Dad." "Next time," growled Max, "it's my turn." "No," said Hassan, "my turn." In their heads, they were X-Wing fighter, and Earth was the Death Star. In all our heads, the whole thing was so cosmic, it had to be a game. I discovered that I pushed my feet against the wall. I could fit clear across the cabin, spin round, kick against the opposite wall again. Spider-Man flying around New York, he was like. Then Florida popped up in front of me, making a buzzing sound with her mouth and miming a few passes with an imaginary lightsaber. Looking back on it, I should have been a bit more focused or been dadly at this point, because that's when Drax Control came on, asking us to move to our task. "You have a 2-minute window to complete the task. Please commence now." All they had to do was press the right buttons in the right order, and we set for the trip home. Hassan and Max were still arguing about it. Samson too put his hand up and said, "Please sir, I'd also like to press the buttons." Maybe I should have just done it myself, but I was loving being Super Mario Matrix Jedi Power Ranger, which is why I said, "Let's settle it with lightsabers," and took a buzzing swipe at them. They ducked and bobbed up again, looking a bit confused. I realise now they've probably never seen Star Wars. They've definitely never seen a dad trying to make a crucial life decision with an imaginary lightsaber. I shouted, "Luke, I am your father." Florida thought it was hilarious and shouted, "You're not my father, and you're not Luke." We were buzzing and laughing and buzzing. Then Max noted Hassan was closing on the buttons. "Hey," he yelled, "hell, he's cheating," and went after him. Samson too dived underneath them. Next thing, they were all pulling and shoving each other in front of the multifunctional displays. The next thing after that was a long screeching noise. Then a jolt, as if we'd been caught on a bungee. Then we spun round and round and round and over and round. Just like the cage in Cosmic. And a light strobe on and off like blue lightning. Then someone in the voice in the Drax Control was shouting in my ear. Then it stopped. Then he shouted. Then it stopped. Then Earth vanished. Then it came back again. Then it vanished and it came back again. And then we stopped rolling. And Earth was gone. No one said a word. We drifted over to the window and pressed our faces against the glass looking for some sign of it. It was very quiet and very dark and very, very scary. It didn't take Samson too long to work out what had happened. The buttons had been pressed in the wrong order. The Dandelion's protective cover had blown off and its silvery sails had popped out, but it had not separated from the command module. The solar sails had unexpectedly opened. That was the screeching noise, and immediately picked up a gust of solar wind. The sails were designed to push the Dandelion gently forward, but our command module was still stuck on top of the Dandelion, so instead of gliding off nicely towards the moon's orbit, the Dandelion had gone spinning on its side and pulled us off course. The sails weren't acting like sails on a ship, they were more like sails on a windmill, spinning us round and round, and it was taking us with us. We couldn't see Earth out of the window, but we did see something that looked like a satellite dish go by. and something like an aerial, our satellite dish, and our aerial, which was when I realised I couldn't say trash control in my earpiece anymore. All that communication equipment had snapped off. They all started yelling and blaming each other and pushing and shoving. Pushing and shoving under weightless conditions is more long-winded than it is on Earth. You push someone and it takes them a few minutes to get back to you with the next shove. I was going to join in when I noticed a window flashing on the monitor. A message. Maybe we'll be alright after all. The message said, permanent fatal errors. I could still hear them fighting and shouting behind me. I was going to yell something like, we're now completely doomed and it's all your fault. But when I turned to face them, they were all looking at me. Like, I know something. Like, I know what to do. Like, I was their dad. Like, the end would never come as long as I was there. Is there a message? Asked Samson too. Yeah. What does it say? I could have told him. The message is permanent fatal errors. So we're dead. And by the way, I'm not a dad, I'm a kid, so stop looking at me like that. These children, Hassan, Samson too, Max, their dads weren't looking out for them. Their dads made them do all this stuff that were clever or richer or more successful. And they'd be packed off to doom in space. But they still thought someone somewhere would be looking out for them. In the circumstances, I felt like that someone should be me. I thought, okay, you lots are my mission. I'm engaged. I turned off the monitor and said, everything's going to be okay, we just need to find Earth and we'll go back home. Florida hadn't noticed until then. Now she screamed, oh my God, the Earth is gone. What have you done with the Earth, you idiot? It hasn't gone, it's just not visible at the moment. Don't worry, it'll turn up. How do you know? Said Samson too. What happens if it doesn't? Because all Florida's stuff is there. The Playmobil, Viking ship, the Slikey Leaky Super Soaker. It's your solar system glow-in-the-dark mobile. I don't know what made me started listing that stuff, but it works. It reminded them about Earth, how real and big it was. It made them see it in their heads and they started adding up the things on the list until they calmed down and finally went to sleep. The big bright sleeping bags are attached to the wall, hanging there with their heads lolling. The children look like they're sleeping in a row of Christmas stockings. And I'm the only one awake, like Father Christmas or the guardian angel or something. And now the cabin suddenly filled with light. It came flooding in like water. It was sunlight. The thing is, if there's all this sunlight coming in, which there wasn't before, that means until now the sun was behind something. And that only thing can be Earth, can't it? The Earth. I can't see it, but I know it's there. I closed the filter on the observation window. I didn't want the kids waking up yet. There's an hatch just below the floor on the multi-line displays. The hatch leads to the dandelion module. I thought I'd go down there and look through the dandelion's windows. I thought I might be able to see the Earth from there. I fiddled with the catch. It was simple enough. It was only when I was actually moving, I suddenly thought, what happens if it doesn't lead to the dandelion? What if it goes straight to the outside, the wastes of space? If it does, we'd all be sucked out by the pressure differential and our heads would explode. Luckily, that didn't happen. Inside the dandelion, it was surprisingly unrockety. 3 rows of seats, 2 massive windows. It really was just like being in an unusual, spacious ice cream van. The good news was a lot of cupboards full of food and drinks. The bad news was, even with those massive windows, you still couldn't see Earth. There was a massive thing between us and the sun, but it wasn't Earth. Something moved behind me. Florida. She come down to the ice cream van. Then, oh my God, she said, pointing out the window. Do you know what that is? I nodded. I said, I think I might have seen it before. That, said Florida, is the moon, you idiot. Next chapter, an unscheduled diversion. When you look at the moon from the Earth, it looks a bit smudgy. I mean, like, you know, the smudges are mountains, but they really just look like blotches. But from where I'm sitting, you can see the mad spiky storybook mountains. The surface is as white as paper and the shadows are sharp and definite. It's like looking at the map of an imaginary realm in Warcraft manual. Massive mountains, deep valleys, empty plains. All it needs is the food trolls and dragons and a big fancy compass. What? Yelled Florida. What's the moon doing there? I said calmly. Oh, you know, just like orbiting Earth, affecting the tide, stuff like that. It's important for the parent to stay calm in all eventualities. Inside my head, my panicky 12-year-old voice was screaming, it's pulling us nearer and nearer, it's pulling us into orbit, that's what it's doing, we're going to be left circling the moon forever, what are you going to do? The truth is, I'd be hoping that when we got into the Dandelion, there'd be some brakes and a steering wheel, and I'd be able to change direction, maybe do an intergalactic 3-point turn, and drive us home. But there didn't seem to be any controls at all. Florida shrugged. I suppose we'll just have to take a free return trajectory around the moon and bring us back. Sorry, what did you say? You know, like on Apollo 13? Calm Dad voice, out loud. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly my plan. Just what you said. Scared little voice. Boy voice inside. What did she say? Is she saying there's a way out of this? And we'll see what that way is out. Cheers.